Hello, everybody.
Good afternoon, Professor.
Good afternoon, Professor.
Everyone.
Good afternoon, Prof.
Hi, everyone. Well, so nice to have you in this session. Well, the last one this week because of the Carnival. I hope you guys enjoyed your holiday. I hope you had a great time. Great. Well, we couldn't have our class last week, and so today we have to do the presentations. You know that.
Yeah, Prof. Regarding to that, Group 3 asked to present first because Chris is the president and he has a meeting later. So
okay, good.
Okay.
That's great. That's okay by me. Great.
Okay, so first Group 1.
Okay, so Group 3 would be
Group
exactly.
3. Yeah, Group 3. Yeah.
Group 3 would be first, and well, just the recommendations that I always make. No, get to the point. No, we don't have much time to go into the details or into the things that are already written in your description. Rather, I would like you to talk and explain what and how we can apply this, or how it is that you are going to implement in your particular example or situation. Okay, and keep it short, but keep it interesting, keep it natural. Okay, and hopefully we can do 3 groups today and maybe the other 4 on Monday. That would be perfect. Okay, let's see how it goes. No, and so we're gonna go directly to group. No, please tell us your topic, your names, of course. Yeah, and remember these recommendations.
Hugo, please let me share the screen.
Yeah, one moment, let me see.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you do it now?
Yeah. Yes, you can see the screen?
Yep.
Okay. Let me just put here. Okay. Okay. Let me. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cristian Cajas, and this is group number 3. So today we're going to talk about the example 3. So next, my partner.
Great.
Good afternoon. My name is Edison Saldana. I am going to talk about the example number 3, which is describing my favorite place since intermediate level. Here we have the task takers with the students, age group, which is teens, level of language ability, intermediate language, DSL, and EFL. Language use activity, speaking, describing your favorite place, and in intended uses, formative feedback for teacher and student summative decisions. Next. Here we have the setting. When we are referring to the setting of the class, we talk about the context in which the students who are assessed have the opportunity to demonstrate the necessary skills to pass to the next level. Here we have also the process of improve the teaching learning method, in this case, improving the speaking of the students and through giving feedback. Next. Yeah, in claim 1, we have what is intended by using the classroom speaking assessment. Here we have the intended consequences, which are what is intended of the course. Teachers and students are involved in the development of the class. So as far as we can see, the objective is to improve their skills, also the mastering the learning and the teaching process. We can see in the image of in the left, here we
On the
have
left.
what is intended for the students who are mastered the learning objectives and so far. Yeah, that here we have the intended stakeholders, which are the
Stakeholder.
students, the student, the ESL, EFL teachers in the current level, and the ESL and EFL teachers in the next level. Yeah, next. Here we have other possible consequences or secondary consequences of the uh, consequences of and stakeholders, in which could see the behavior of the students outside of the classroom, and moreover are the related with the teaching learning process. Here we have, as we can see in the image, in which areas we have the consequences and the stakeholders which are performing these activities. Mhm. Next. Yeah. Finally, we have the summative high stakes and the formative low stakes. In the summative high stakes, is decided if the students have acquired the necessary knowledge to, to pass to the next level. And in the formative low stakes, which is referring who is who haven't the level to pass, have the opportunity to get the feedback from the professor in order to improve their speaking performance and can make the necessary changes for the class, making it better in order to get these students to pass to the next level. Yeah, that was it.
Okay, now we're going to talk about the intended interpretation. We see that we have three aspects for the student's ability, that is accurate grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation, and this will be relevant for the formative and summative decisions to be made in the future. Next, please. The interpretations will be sufficient for a low stake formative decisions, but not sufficient for the high stake summatives decisions, because we see that summative decisions will be made on the basis of this assessment and other classroom assessment that will be you will be doing this during the total course. Next. So now we have the assessment records. The score from the speaking activities are consistent across different times and day of administrations and across different administrations to different groups of students. The student score are consistent across the different places they will describe, and the student's performance and score consistently by the teacher according a rating scale. So we have the possible sources of inconsistency in the score. So first we have inconsistencies in the administration of the assessment. That will be different times or days of the administrations and the different kind of groups of students. The second one will be the inconsistencies across different assessment tasks. And it will be the different places that the students will describe among these assessments. And the third one is the inconsistencies in how students' performance are scored. And this is different applications of the rating scales from one student to the next. Next, please. And here we have some possible backing to assure this consistency. So we have documentation of administrative procedures to be followed. The teachers know from administrating the assessment at different time during the class period. We have the task specifications for possible place to be used in the assessment. Any difference that we are observing in how different places may affect other students' performance, and the rating scale according from and the instruction of scoring. Next. So now we have the assessment task development. In here we have two steps. The first steps, it will be the task select for development of assessment task. That will be describe a short label for the task, describing the favorite building orally to a partner in a language classroom, And then will be the areas of the ability using accurate grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation in the speaking. Next. On the step 2, we have the description of the task. We have the activities and procedures to be followed. The teacher will explain the speaking activity in class. The student will work in pairs. Each pair decide what's the favorite building to play and take places for the description. The students work on the description in the buildings in the pairs. Teacher moves around and helps the pairs as needed. Each student present a part of the description to the class, and other students in class discuss the quality of the description and give feedback to the pair's performance in terms of the amount of information they provide.
Okay. My name is Cristian Cajas, so I'm going to talk about some characteristics. First, the task, speaking describe a favorite building to partner in the language classroom. So that is going to be the task during this activity. Okay, the areas of language ability are using accurate grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation in spoken language. So as teachers, we have to take care about these characteristics during the lesson of the or the class. In the part of setting, the physical circumstances, for example, teacher in front of classroom, student in pairs. Equipment necessary for this activity are paper and pencil. So as teachers, we have to stand in a part of the classroom that all the students can see us. In these activities require that the students work in pairs. Also, we provide the materials that they are going to use during the class. In this case, the paper and the pencil to take notes. Also, it's important to mention that the participants are the teacher and the students. In this case, we are working with things or intermediate. Then we establish the time of the task. During the class period, one class period required. It's very important to always set a time to do these activities in order to provide the enough time for the students to think what we're going to do and organize the things that they going to put in practice. So talking about the input, for example, in this part, we can see that the teacher described the task, answered questions, and made some comments about the activity. Also, the students have to describe what the teacher requires by discussing with partners. This is very important because we need to to see if the students really understand what we are going to explain to them during the class. Also, they have the words and phrases that they are going to write on paper. Also, the language is very important. We are going to talk all in English. We, as teachers, have to make a short spoken description and explanation about the activity. And the students, in order to put all the things that they're going to say, they need to take notes. Also, describe in short sentences what they're going to explain to work. Also, we have to establish the for example the length of the conversation, and the topical content, as we said, is the favorite building of the students. The expected response in this activity is the students' description of their favorite building, their response to teachers and students' comments. The students can write the words and phrases on paper to support the speaking. It's very important to mention that probably as students we know that we're not perfect when we are expressing our ideas with the partners and more. So a little bit of help using some notes is very useful. Also, in the part of language, in English, we can use adjectives to describe all the things that we are going to express about our favorite building, and try to establish the time. In this case, 1 minute per student to explain what is his or her favorite building and why. Also, as you know, the topical content is the favorite building. So try to focus in that topic. The next step is the modified task assessment or task tempo. Is in this case the description of the modified task. In this case, the students are going to speak individually, describing the favorite place. As the previous task, they are going to use the using accurate grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation in speaking. So the activities and procedures to be followed. In this case, on the day before the assessment, the teacher tells the students they will have an oral performance the next day. This helps the students to prepare, probably search for some vocabulary word they don't understand very well, and try to, for example, practice in front of a mirror is a good technique. The purpose of the assessment are to give each student a grade that is going to be part of the official grade of the year, and provide feedback to each student on their speaking ability. And the next is they will have to describe something similar to the task in the class. And finally, they will have to describe individually and not in pairs. This is very important. It is the main difference with the another example. So what we're going to do the day of the assessment. In that day, the teacher briefly explained the assessment task again. So if some students didn't understand well, so the students repeat the task. Okay, and then the teacher makes sure that everyone understands the task. The task is describe their favorite place, and the students have 5 minutes to write down notes to guide the description. Also, the teacher's call is each student individually to take the assessment. And then each student has 2 minutes to describe his or her favorite place orally. And with that information, the teacher proceeds to scores each student, and the teacher provides the students their scores and gives verbal feedback. And finally, the teacher administers the assessment to another student following the same procedure as with the first student. After the teacher provide all the all the final grades, they he can, for example, provide the feedback to, for example, you need to work in your vocabulary or try to focus on the grammar. So this is my part. And Professor, my
Great.
partner Natalie
Great.
Manzano is part of the groups. She helped me a lot with the presentation, but now she has some problems with her internet connection, and he can join the class.
Natalie Manzano.
So, yes, Natalie Manzano.
Natalie Manzano.
Yes, this is the part of Natalie, but she's not here because of that internet connection now.
Yeah, great. We'll deal with that later. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, and that's all the presentation. And thanks for your attention.
Great. Thank you very much. So let me just recap here with your names. It's Christian Cajas, Edison Saldana. Who else is in the group?
Jorge Catota.
Natalie Manzano.
Jorge Catota,
can you repeat, please?
Natalie Manzano.
Jorge Catota and Natalie Manzano. Okay, thank you very much. Well, like I said, I'll deal with Natalie Manzano later. Maybe she can call me and we can talk, but we will do that outside the Zoom. No, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Professor.
But I understand, of course, that she helped you prepare, but I need to talk to her first. Thank you much. Great. So that's group 3. Okay, and so now we're gonna have group 1, no? We're back to group 1 now. Hugo, yes?
Yeah, but I don't know who is group 1.
Yeah, group 1.
They should
Okay, so
share their screen now, but
I
let
think we are
me.
group 1,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
I'm going to share the screen.
Thank you very much.
I don't know if you can see it now.
Yes, I can see it now. Example assessment task 1.
Mhm.
I can see it.
Okay, so good afternoon, Prof. Good afternoon, classmates. Today we are going to
Good
talk
afternoon.
about the example assessment task number 1. My classmates are Carwa Jonathan, Gavilanes Luis, Guaita Gabriela, and myself. So let's begin.
And what's your name again?
Okay, my name is Santiago Tapia, Prof.
Okay. My name is Jonathan Carwa. So I'm going to start with claim 1 that is focused on intended consequences about how to use assessment in argument.
Intended consequences.
Yeah. The use of speaking assessment. Okay, this is one intended consequence, the use of speaking assessment. How? Well, it will be beneficial to stakeholders. As we know, stakeholders are the people, or is the people who will be affected or is part of the process, of any process, in this case the teaching and learning process. As we can see here, we can have different types of stakeholders like employees, investors, suppliers. So to have a clear idea about this term that we have here, stakeholder. As we can see, stakeholder, it is the target audience, or as I said before, the beneficiaries. Another intended consequence are the good consequences. Okay, are good consequences. Please, next slide. And here we have a little chart about the intended consequences and intended stakeholders. Okay, so because according to the consequences, we have specific stakeholders. In this case, we have here in intended consequences, we have students who have mastered the learning objectives will receive appropriate instruction at the next level. Okay, because they have increased their knowledge, and at the next level they are going to receive I don't know, maybe an advanced subject or an advanced knowledge. So the intended stakeholder here are students and English as a second language and English as a foreign language teachers in the next level. In B, we have students who have not mastered the learning objectives will receive appropriate instruction at the same level, because as we know, if we don't have the enough knowledge to pass to the next level, we need to stay at the same level or repeat the year, as we say here. And here, intended stakeholders are students who didn't pass the level, and ESL and EFL teacher in the current level, because as we know, if we repeat the year, we are going to have to repeat with the same professor in some cases. Another intended
Yeah.
consequences, please, the before, is students will improve their speaking, okay? And here the intended stakeholders are obviously students and the teacher. And finally, we have the teacher will improve his or her teaching. And here we have the intended stakeholder, students and teacher. Why here in intended consequences we have the teacher will improve his or her teaching? Because as we know, if a student passed to the next level, okay, it's fantastic for the professor. But if the student needs to repeat the level, well, it means that maybe the professor need to change in their methodology, and in this case, the professor will improve, as we have here, their methodology or their process in the how to teach a foreign language. That's why here we have the teacher will improve his or her teaching. Please, next slide. Here we have other possible consequences, okay? In other possible consequences, we have that, for example, teacher will be able to teach students who are prepared for the next level, as I said before. And here the stakeholders who might be affected are the teachers in the current level and teachers in the next level. Other possible consequences is there will be fewer complaints from teachers, teachers, students, and parents. And the stakeholders that who might be affected are the school administrators. Another possible consequences is the reputation or I don't know how to say it. Rep,
Reputation.
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 Okay, I'm sorry.
Exactly.
The reputation of the school will improve, and here the stakeholder is the school. And finally, parents will be satisfied with their children's speaking. And here the stakeholders are obviously parents, students, and teachers. Okay, here we have some possible backing or support for intended consequences. For example, students receiving instruction at the appropriate level. For example, here the teacher talks with other professor or another teacher in the next or the same level to inform how good or bad was students' performance, because they need to share information about their students, even when a student or their students are going to pass to the next level. Okay. Another support is the students' improvement in speaking. Here, teacher observes students' speaking performance. The teacher provides feedback for student improvement, and teacher compares students' performance through assessment. So I think here the idea is very clear about how the professor tried to improve the speaking ability, speaking skill in their student. And finally, we have the teacher's improvement in teaching. As I said before, teacher makes note of his or her goals in speaking activities. Teacher gets feedback from their students, because in some cases, students can provide their feedback to the professor, for it can know what is doing well and what is doing wrong. And finally, we have teacher asks for another professor or another teacher to observe his classroom teaching. So I think it is very clear. So please, the next slide. And my classmate is going to talk about the claim 2.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the claim 2, which is intended decisions. So first, we have here the claim number 2, as you can see here. So it says, the high-stakes summative decisions are made by the teacher at the end of the school year. After that, the low-stakes formative decisions are made by the teacher and the students before the next unit of instruction. Number 3, these kind of decisions affect the stakeholders. And number 4, the decisions take into considerations that the educational values of the school and the social values of the community following the regulations of the school. So if we talk about the intended decisions, as you can see here in this chart, well, here we have an example. It says to make sure students who pass the grade are prepared for instruction at the next level and help students to improve their writing and improve their teaching. So here we have the assessment, the decisions which are going, which will be made, individuals who will make the decisions, when the decisions will be made, and stakeholders who will or might be affected by the decisions. Okay, so here we have the summative high stakes. So decide here, and the decisions to be made is decide which students pass to the next grade, as my classmate said before. Who is going to take this decision? The teacher. And when this decision will be made at the end of the school term, and who are going to be the stakeholders involved in this process? They are going to be students, teachers, and administrators. Okay, so here we have the formative low stakes. So the decision to be made is provide students with feedback on their speaking performance. Okay, so the individual who makes the decision is a teacher. When the decision will be made immediately after the assessment, and who are going to be involved? Here we have students, teachers, and parents. Okay. The other one says make appropriate changes to teaching. Here we have again the teacher is going to be the person who makes this decision. When is going to be this decision made before the next unit of instruction? And who are going to be the stakeholders? We have students, teachers, and parents. Okay. And the next one says continue with planned teaching review or give support tasks. So the responsible for this activity or this decision is the teacher, and the time or when the decision will be made is before the next unit of instruction. Again, the stakeholders are students, teachers, and parents. Here we have another. It says review or practice learning objectives on which students need to improve. So here we have the responsibles for this activity or action. They are going to be the students. And when the decision will be made after they receive teachers' feedback, and the stakeholders are going to be students, teachers, and parents. So as you can see here, the main goal of this chart is how to improve and how to help students to achieve their main goal. In this case is pass to the next grade. So teacher is going to assess in a summative and affirmative way in order to taking into account what are the possible um, mistakes or problems students have. So it's important for us to notice this process because in each step after an assessment, after an important assessment, the teacher is going to get some grades, some results, some scores, and then they can notice what is the most difficult part for the students. So the qualities of the intended decisions. So we have here values and sensitivity. So are these decisions consistent with my own values as a teacher? So all of this kind of information is something important for the teacher because the teacher has to include all this information when he or she is going to consider to do something according to the students. Okay, so are these decisions consistent with my values as a teacher? Are these decisions consistent with educational values, rules, regulations of my school? Are these decisions consistent with the values of my students, parents, and community? If there are conflicting values among different group of stakeholders, how I can best address this in using the assessments to make decisions? So here we have all the aspects that a teacher has to include in their thinking before doing an action or before make a decision. Okay, because as you know, for example, yeah.
Yeah. So sorry for interrupting you, but there is less than a minute.
Okay.
So we will start this session, and you can continue. Okay. I'm going
Okay.
to end this meeting.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Let's close this session now.